I've just done my walk back in spring walk over in the forest. Listen to these birds. And you know what's amazing about when you walk, and for me it's sort of fitness walk, up and down, challenging myself. It's my alpha space. It's when I slow down and my creative brain opens up and I start to have all the thoughts and ideas that I know are happening. I want to go down here by the water, and I hope it's not too windy. You don't get this wind effect on the, and so you can hear the lapping. It's just beautiful. I'll sit out of the wind down here. But you know, when you start to have those thoughts, and they're really clear thoughts, and that is the journey, you know, clear, creative, future facing, full of potential. Let me just show you where I am. The kids climb up on that out there and do their bombs. Pretty cool. And I wanted to capture some of these because we haven't done a BIF update for a while in terms of where we're at and what's been going on. But for about the last, I want to say year, Yuni and I, my BIF partner, who does all our creative design, execution, building it out, the tech, etc. Couldn't be doing BIF without him at all. But I've noticed, you know, we've started to build out a new online home, betterideasfaster.com. Please check it out. It's looking beautiful, and it finally is the front-facing almost shop about the products and experiences and I guess, you know, services. I've been innovating, but the thought strikes me, it's a 20-year journey realized into an online home that when you buy the programs or the experiences take you into our community space that both serves the programs and the new knowledge and learning we really want you to take, and then becomes an online home for you to continue to collaborate with others of like minds and spirits who are going for the same thing. And you know, what are we all going for? It struck me, you know, going for the walk in the trees, actually you can see over the other side, those trees on the other side over there, that's where I was, that, you know, it's been a 20-year journey to capture the knowledge of what can really unleash what is essentially the neuroscience of our creative brain that atrophies in adults, and then that we unwittingly educate our kids out of. And that, you know, the intuitive thought back 10 years ago was, this is absolutely critical to our future well-being of everyone on this blue planet. And yet everything about our culture and society at that point didn't really recognize the value of it. You know, I used to go into enterprises and I'd get paid for good work and good money, but it was sort of creativity and innovation almost as entertainment. It was morale building, it was well-being, it was having it was brainstorming, it was having ideas that you sort of knew, most of which would never see the light of day because the organization wasn't behind them. Yes, there were the odd organizations in those early, really motivated, purposeful organizations and brands that we know so well that truly believed in innovation and look at the results they get. But for most others, they never realized that potential. What I've found in the last year or so is that this emergence of artificial intelligence, the ChatGPT, what we call the hardware and software innovation, is now showing that the only bit left for us that we can really bring about real talent on top of all the automation and machine learning that's coming across every part of our life is our humanware. And that humanware resolves to our creativity, our capacity for transcendental creativity. Nick Cage, he's the one I first came across who described it like that. That moment of elevated spirit where thoughts and ideas that feel transcendental, they feel not us, they come from somewhere else. It's like yesterday I did a session with a team down here that we're going to be doing some really interesting innovation for, and the founder of that said, I totally get that, because when I meditate, I get to a space that is almost, I don't feel like I'm present anymore. I'm deep. The me that is the conscious me every day, that judges and critiques and worries and fears and doubts, when I meditate and get to that deep space that we know is the alpha opening to our creativity, I don't feel like I'm wholly present anymore. I feel bigger, fuller, more connected to others. Anyway, I've been riffing on those thoughts today as we launch our new online home, because it occurred to me that across every program, so we've got programs for kids, We do in schools, we do in homes. We've got programs for teens, which is really exciting. So much more to come from that space in terms of edutaining young teens in that critical time where their brains are rewiring and refiring into adulthood. That's mostly when we put them under massive exam pressure and educate them directly out of their capacity to imagine and into a binary mind, yes or no, Youth, young innovator programs, we're really picking that up next year with a college down here, and we'll do more with that. And then we're into our parents and educators, and then we're into, continuing the brands and business work and people. It's like, if you look at it, I represented and I'm speaking to all of that. And it'd be really easy for someone to land there and go, who the fuck are you to be an expert across all this? And, I want to speak to that because actually, the first thought I had was that we could codify the power of creativity and applied neuroscience of the creative brain through innovation process in much better ways for organizations to drive new value. That was the first idea I had, to codify that into a program of learning and doing that anyone could do. It was a challenge I set myself. Could I do it? And then it was sort of I wasn't really good at this part of it in terms of I could build it out. I knew it had to be across the sensorial creativity of, getting people to see it, hear it, read it, do it, apply it, the toolbox, etc. And then commercialize it for the widest audience. We did all of that bit right up until commercializing it, because it sort of felt like my talents of what I can do and not really that end part, the execution, the origination part. Anyway, once it's done, it's done. It's easier to make happen, and that's what we're finally getting to. But that singular thought of helping an adult in enterprise, at work, in enterprise, take on this program, rediscover and be confident anew in their own creativity, their capacity to imagine and create in whatever way is right for them. I constantly say it's not if you are, it's how you are. You have a brain, therefore the neuroscience of the creative brain says you are creative. There are thoughts and ideas waiting for you. It's how you reconnect with those, get confident in it, and then learn to collaborate that and do it together with others. That's where process matters. That singular thought about helping adults rediscover that capacity and, overcome, it's just atrophied, it's still there. You can become fit again like anything. It was then going at the other end and going, well, if adults are developed out of it and it becomes passive and it's not a skill they no longer identify with or believe in, why don't we educate kids and develop them into that? Because that slow decline away from our belief that creativity is a working daily part of who we are and how we are happens in our formative years. Every adult will tell you, the shameful moment, where they found that they couldn't draw, or they couldn't hold a tune when they sung, they couldn't play an instrument, etc. That they assumed, therefore, they weren't creative, and so creativity no longer became valuable to them. That happens early in the formative years, so we have to solve it then. We have to solve it for young people as we educate them and develop them into this. That's how I first got into the singular thought, neuroscience of the creative brain applied through process as problem solving, as change making, as innovating new ideas, creating new value. We could translate that and put that into kids, and they could have an experience of doing that as simplified creative problem solving. We did that, proved it, piloted it, wrote stories around it, created picture books, put it in schools. Suddenly you realize you've got to educate teachers to help them do that. Great. You've started to overcome that. Actually, that program needs to look differently for primary school kids, then it looks differently for middle school kids, and then actually for more older youth, we can actually start to introduce them to real innovation. So we did all that. So again, it's not like it's me responsible for doing it all and creating it all. What I had was this, at the time, I had the resources, I had the motivation to go and do this work to what we called, I'm a bit cynical too of this word of democratizing talent or knowledge for all, but we were just taking a very singular view, applying it for a different audience, just like you do in brand innovation and product innovation. What are we trying to do? What's the brief? Who is the audience and what we're trying to do it for? How does what we're about, our purpose, connect and serve that audience and their propensity of engage with what we're about? How do we innovate ideas that speak to that spectrum where we marry up with, with their propensity, their need, their behaviors of their repertoires, etc., of how they might engage with us. We just did that with kids. We went and did it with the same thing and did it in schools, etc. So, and then of course, after the schools work, you realize that this is really going to work, and if we're really going to democratize this knowledge and really serve the biggest possible audience we can to overcome that singular need, reverse the decline in human creativity, grow new belief and confidence for people to hold on and become fit for that innate intelligence, we're going to have to support the educators. They need to know, they need to too overcome. They're an adult, they've grown, it's atrophied. Let's solve that for them so they can then learn how to translate and put this into any curriculum they happen to be doing, because that's how it works. You can apply creativity and problem solving across the whole of creativity. Yes, it's STEM, yes, it's humanities, but it's also math, it's also geography, it's also literacy, creative literacy and writing. All of that is needed. It can be problem solving across that whole domain. So we did that for educators, and then obviously we wanted to get it in homes. And so we started to do that work for parents, and we wrote a parenting handbook. So, I wanted to speak to, and I would ultimately like it to not be me, but I'm not really wired that way. I was more interested in codifying and packaging and creating our BIF products and writing them and articulating them that Uni and I could put into a program and suddenly make it available for all. And all that digital tools and the platforms and the global reach now make it possible to be available for everyone. So, as we move out of pure origination, we've created the portfolio. It's done. It's crazy to look at it and step back. And actually, rather than celebrate that, my goodness, we've done it. We've done the sort of version 1 of this whole spectrum. We've even done it in preschool, and that was an incredible experience. So we've even created the brand and the product and how that translates and works for preschool, all the way through to enterprise practitionership and growing leaders who can then train trainers. We've done all the origination. Now we move into execution. I'll be honest with you, it's slightly outside of my domain. Because I'm this person who sees around corners and can intuit what might be coming and how you innovate that near value and the next iteration and the horizon 2 and the pipeline, etc. That's what I'm paid to do, and that's what I'm one of the best at. And so execution, my strategy is to do it with you, is to invite you in. Like, we've created the 0 to 1 materials you need to reconnect with your innate capacity to create, to imagine, to innovate, to collaborate, to do it together, to start the journey of creating new value. And God knows we need to be doing it. It isn't called Better Ideas Faster for nothing. Ukraine, the Middle East right now, climate, sustainability, let alone everyday brand and innovation in the companies you're working in to drive new value and make the transitions to more, better, more sustainable, thinking of how we do it for planet and people. My God, I'm struck by this notion that the data says, and I was out for dinner with my beautiful wife last night talking about, the data says right now we've never had it so good. We live longer, we live healthier. Humanity at a data level, it should be thriving. And yet our lived experiences are the complete opposite. We're anxious. It feels awful. Mates, and I do a lot of personal work, but which I don't talk about much, but mates who are working in mental health and charities to support young people and all the way through to suicide. There's never been such a need for it, has there? And you go, how do we do a lot of this? I guess the reason I'm getting a bit choked up is in my own family, in my own friends, in my life, in my 20s, it was touch and go there for a while. And you go, well, how did you make it through? What was resilient in me that made it through? How did I get there? Where did I renew my belief? And where did my mates who didn't make it How did they not have what I had and was fortunate to have? And where I'm going to start taking this to, now that we've got this product there, is that creativity. We've talked about, I finally started articulating BIF, right? As, yes, we take a brief, a commercial brief, and we're about creating new value in the world, because that's what I'm paid to do, right? And that's what I'll be judged on, about how much value we've created in the world. But that can only come from, and those ideas we create, which for whatever reason during the 90s, even through the last 15 years, people just assumed that would come through. And you realize those thoughts that we put in the world only come from our inner world. I mean, it's bloody obvious. The thoughts and ideas we have are deep within us, that we can surface and collaborate with each other. We can only do it if it comes from within. And so it's that circular notion. How do we create new value in the world? It's because we're surfacing the new value that's in our inner world, that is there waiting for us, and it's an iterative thing. The more we do in the world, the more we impact our inner world. Creativity and innovation ultimately plays a deep, deep role for our personal health and well-being. That's where I'm going to start going. You know, I really admire Rick Rubin's book, because he talks about the spiritual nature of creativity. And I've been living that and practicing that and introducing it and translating it through an enterprise lens for 20 plus years. And you can have that. You can have those programs now. The hundreds of millions of dollars of value I've created around the world in 20 years, because it is that, be billions of value. For people and organizations around the world, you can come and grab that right now and have that. You can take that and buy that. We've made it and democratize it. You want to do it for you? We'll give it to you in a 1-for-2 proposition. You go and buy the BIF People program right now for you at work. We'll give you a code where you can invite a mate to do it with you, because you can't do it on your own. Yes, you can start to unleash and grow new confidence for you, but that only comes to life if you really do it together, right? So we're serving that. And then we've got the team's price, right? Knock it out. It can be as many as you want. We're going to keep that price the same and bring your teams in and start doing it. We've designed it to be wholly DIY. You can start doing that. But the real value, actually, and BIF 101, which we've got and we're launching for young people, is that James Scroggs, my really good mate, who's working so hard and is struggling to get people behind him. It's one of those things where people say they love the idea, but then putting their hand in their pocket to get behind it, you know, he's got to surface what that barrier is, and he will. But he talks about this notion of venturing yourself. So, you know, BIF is this journey of venturing ideas in the world so you can get to the heart of your own creativity, to start venturing the idea of you in the world. And that's where BIF will take you through the science of your creative brain, opening alpha so you can dive deep into your inner self. I meditate every day. I do an hour of that because I need to for my own health and well-being, but I'm as interested in what new value is being created there to surface. And so, you know, this is an update, a really personal update from me to you, to say that BIF for years, for 20 years, has been a commercial enterprise selling our knowledge to help organizations everywhere innovate new value. We're slowly now going to start doing the work to make all of that product available for all. We talk about creativity for everyone. I can help ignite that, right? Through these programs we've got, we will ignite that for you and your team, your education in your school, in your home, with your co-parents, with your brands, all of that. But ultimately, our programs are learning and doing. I'm just going to ignite the 0 to 1 that you can start learning and doing with me together. We'll do it, but then you'll start doing it with others. And very, very quickly, I guarantee you'll be moving beyond the BIF knowledge to enrich it for yourself, because you'll start bringing yourself and finding your own creativity in BIF and the BIF method, and then building on that to create your own stories and your ideas and your own impact, and then sharing that with others, we hope, in our community, where you start learning from each other, and it becomes, you know, a true collaboration where the knowledge is building and building and forever building, and together we help each other, what I call create the new. That's where we're headed. That's my ambition. That's where I really want to go. So, if you see me across it all, it's because I was crazy enough to just have the motivation and belief that this could work for everyone. That yes, we could help adults in enterprise rediscover this talent and create a new at work. And rather than help individuals rediscover it, why don't we just educate and develop young people into it and prepare them for what will be some very challenging years coming up, where their future thriving will be dependent on their capacity to continually solve problems and iterate. And yes, use technology and use all the wonders of data and automation, etc. But the defining value of them in the world will be their creativity, what they can create, creating the best versions of themselves and the ideas they really want to be working on, which comes from their inner world and their deep intimacy with their belief and confidence of their human creativity. Whew. I didn't really know I was going to be riffing on that. And God knows how many people will watch this. We've got a YouTube channel. We're doing zero work to try and bring people to it, but we're just banking the resource that as we start to, I know I'm working my own fandom here. So I was talking to actually 2 stories to finish with. Did a really wonderful session with a client yesterday. I can't tell you about. A small client, founder-led business, doing really well in the world. But they're looking to innovate their next ideas, right? Their pipeline. What do they go and do next after one stunning product out in the world? They don't really know what it should be. They don't really know the audiences. They don't really know the proposition. But I introduce them to the notion of fandom. So, go and have a look at Cone and buy A to Z of fandom. And if you really can't afford it, send me an email, a personal email. I'll send you the digital book personally. I introduced them to the notion of fandom, and I said, you're just currently serving your super fans. Now, maybe you grow a global business just with your super fans, but there's all this market making you can do with what we call enthusiasts and casuals. It's the same for BIF. Currently, we're only just talking to our super fans. I was on a little TV show in New Zealand down here after we moved down in COVID, and I had lots of educators reach out. But not every educator reached out, right? So it was only those super fans who identified with what we're about because it identified with what they're about. We're going to serve them and get that going again. And then I wanted to say another story, 2 stories. The story of last week, again, I can't really say what the client is, but I hope to be telling the story soon because I want to capture the experience of how we're really helping accelerate them. I did a 3-day workshop. I don't really do these workshops anymore. I'm sort of a bit grey and long in the tooth, innovation with clients and consulting innovation I talk about it being a 30 years to 40 years kind of flying, I was flying around the world, having a riot of a time solving problems, and it was a privilege to be getting the keys to organizations and brands and helping them do better things with it. But anyway, me, a bit grey-bearded, went down, helped this team explore the notion of sustainability and what it means to them. We did 3 days. We connected with audiences. We did insight-led ideation. We did not do a brainstorm. I said to them, we are not going to spend a jot of time trying to generate an idea. I will hold you through an experience where we will use our curiosity and our empathy, and we will collaborate around the intuitive thoughts and ideas that we're feeding with new intelligence, and we will surface stunning ideas against the cone spectrum that speak to superfans, enthusiasts, and casuals. And by the end of the workshop, they will just be there. The concepts, a little bit robust work at the end to craft the creative concepts. And there they were. All right, we went there to innovate one idea, and we've got 5 absolutely stunning propositions, all of them which could be worked on and put into market for this organization. That's the kind of creativity and innovation that can start to solve the problems that we have in the world, to look after people and planet everywhere, that everyone can do. I fundamentally believe it. Innovators, I say this over and over, and I know when people first hear it, they don't believe it. Innovators are not born, they're made. Everything I do, I learnt to do. And I was fortunate enough to be given opportunities and to fail. I'll tell the story of my first ever workshop one time where it was the only time in life I wanted the ground to literally swallow me up because the workshop was going nowhere and I did not know what I was doing. And from that, I became a global innovator. And I know that I'm tooled and ready to solve any problem in the world. You give me enough intelligence and insight, and I'm your guy. I know that I can do that. But what I've done with Yearney's help is capture that knowledge so that you go and do this. Because that's what we have to do. We have to arm and tool everyone to bring themselves to this challenge. And by the way, those that do will be the next rock stars of brands and businesses, because you've unleashed your creativity and innovation, and you learn to collaborate that with others, and you see the problems in the world that you can turn into an enterprise and solve and create new value. That's the future we're innovating for. We're doing it now. I'm sure there's other people doing what we're trying to do in some other way, but I can tell you we're the best. I'm starting to believe that. I've never really put that stake in the ground that said the BIF method is the best. It's not design thinking. I can tell you design thinking is designed for an old world that's always looking in a particular way. I know the story of how it came about. It's used in a particular way to fashion up a particular product. We're not that, right? If you want design thinking, please go ahead and do that and buy those programs and do that design thinking. What we are is about your capacity for human creativity, the neuroscience of the way it surfaces for you, and it's uniquely yours, right? The thoughts and ideas you're having, no one else is having. That's the truth of it. But if you can surface those and capture them and collaborate them, you will create value in the world that no one else can create. It's yours there to be created. And personally, I've never spoke like this. I wasn't that sort of guy. I'm very Kiwi about this. And I realized that Rick Rubin, I have to say, has really inspired me. I'm going to send him this. I'll send you this, Rick. And I'm listening to Tetragrammaton, and we're very similar. I've had a lot of health issues, and I've had brain surgery, and I stopped drinking in my when I was 20. All kinds of challenges that I had to personally overcome that led me. No one's going to go and solve half of these things unless you absolutely have to, and I had to for my own personal welfare. And so marrying that journey up with the creativity and innovation that I've been blessed and privileged to do in the world on behalf of some of the industry leaders in the world, American Idol, BBC, Cisco, Sony Music, Warner Music, Unilever, UNICEF. And I've been trying to think if I've worked with anyone from Z, because I sort of go from A to Z. I've worked with them all around the world. And again, I don't really tell that story because in New Zealand, sort of the way we are is we just get on with it. We're not kind of big tub thumpers like that. But I'm starting to package all of that experience up, put that with everything I've learned and been privileged to learn with others in the world around creativity and innovation. And we've captured it and codified it and packaged it and doing our bit, our tiny little spoke in the huge wheel of how we're going to go and solve these problems together. So look, 28 minutes, I'll stop at 30. I almost want this to be our gift to you. Look, we guarantee our programs. If you pay and take our BIF programs, especially in enterprise, and it doesn't deliver for you and for your team, and you don't get a positive experience out of it or new value out of it, just tell us. We'll give you your money back. Honestly, we'll 100% guarantee and stand behind what we're doing because we know it's that impactful. We've democratized the pricing. If I was to try and package up and price BIF People for the actual ROI it gives organizations when they come out on the back end and start to go and make that new value work and earn their millions off it in the market, no one will be able to afford it. So I honestly believe that, but I haven't really, so what I'm saying is I'm on my own journey with valuing and revaluing my own stuff and what it means in this world and standing behind it and saying 100% it will deliver for you. 100% we guarantee that it will deliver for you. Tell us if it doesn't. And it's time for us to put our head up and go, the BIF method is how we can go about solving lots of these problems in the world. And by the way, it's going to 100% support your journey of your own mental health and well-being in this crazy fucked up world we have right now, and helping us find and create better together for all. Okay, that's the Thursday chat. I'm hungry. Go and fuel up. go and have my protein for the day, and carry on. Big love, everyone. And if you think this is valuable, please drop me a line, drop a comment, give us a follow. We need to start getting this message out there. We can only do it with you. Follow us at one of our channels. I guess the YouTube channel is the one we're really using at the moment. We're off X, Twitter. We do a bit of Insta, but not really. And if you have ideas about how we can do this better and do it for more, let us know. If you are in our domain and are really interested in coming on board and starting to represent BIF, you know, we have train the trainer programs we can get you through. And then you can represent BIF in your organization. If you're up for that, let us know. We can do that as well. If you want to become part of the BIF wider community, especially in educators, we need educators to step up. We really want to support you, representing you in your school. We can get you through that. And then support you, you know, taking this in for kids in schools. Just come on board, let us know. We're starting to really put our head up and go, we're here. Our programs are ready. We can only launch and activate this and impact this with you. So let us know. Big love, Aroha. Hope you're well wherever you are in your world. And